The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Namaskar. Welcome to this webinar. This is Dada Ranjitananda. Today, we are going to continue our Astaunga Yoga course, or the 8 steps, 8 limbs of yoga. As with every class, you can communicate with me or you can ask questions through the questions window. There is a window in your control panel where you can type your question. So you can type these questions during the webinar, and I will answer either during the webinar or at the end. And if some question remains not answered, I can bring it up in the next class. Okay, so I think that's all as an introduction. And this class will be also recorded, and you will get the recording. All right, so last time we were talking about the good relationship with others. It means that one of the basic points to practice Ashtanga Yoga is that we need some harmony in our life. And to get that harmony, the first thing is to have a good relationship with other people. Or let's make it more broad, with other entities. If we do not have a good relationship with other entities, then our life will be a little bit conflictual. We will not be able to maintain our mental peace. And this mental peace, or this mental equilibrium, is the basic point for the development of the first level of the mind, or the conscious level of the mind. So in keeping harmony with other beings, we will be practicing this first let's say technique, or the first series of practices of Ashtanga Yoga. And for this practice, which is the practice of YAMA, which we've introduced last time, it is necessary the existence of two entities, me and a second entity. So there must be these two entities so that I can practice YAMA. And it is the practice that teaches me, or that develops my capacity to relate well with other beings. So this good relationship with others is managed through the practice of YAMA. There are 5 principles or 5 practices in this system. And I like to say that this system is the minimum necessary actions that we have to take to maintain a good relationship with others. As I said in the previous class, there are so many points that we can think of to have a good relationship with others, and we can read hundreds and hundreds of books about it. But to come up with a system that synthesizes what is the minimum that I have to do is kind of difficult. So we are taking the advantage that there is this system in the system Ashtanga Yoga. So let's utilize it, see how it works. So from the first class last week, we mentioned 2 points. I mentioned 2 points. The first point was non-harming. In Sanskrit, it's called ahimsa. It means whatever I do, whatever I think, all my words should not harm anybody, should not cause some bad thing to other people, means just to make it simple. So that's number one. I will not hurt, I will not harm anyone with thinking, my words, my actions. That's one point. Now, a second point is I will use my words to bring truth and welfare to other people. So that's the second point, benevolent truthfulness. Not just truth, but I should say the truth. I should be true, but I should say the truth in a way that it benefits other people. Otherwise, it is meaningless. Just to say the truth, if it causes harm to other people, then it's better to not say it. So, but the best is to say the truth with benevolence. So we come up with this satya, which is the second point of YAMA. So that was 2 points for the good relationship from last class: non-harming and the saying the words with benevolence and truthfulness. So that was 1 and 2. So now today we are going to continue, and we are going to number 3. Now, so what's this third point for keeping a good relationship with others? If I take things from other people without their permission, certainly I will not have a good relationship with them. So if I'm stealing from people, if I'm taking things from them without asking them, I will certainly develop a bad relationship with those people, with those entities. So this is the third point: not to take anything from others without permission. And this can be physically, means I go and take something from the people, or mentally means I'm thinking to do it. So everything starts in the mind. So if I'm thinking to do it, eventually I will end up doing it. And plus, just by thinking of doing it, I'm already creating problems with my relationship with that person. If I'm coming to that person with the idea to get something from that person, to get some benefit from that person, then I'm already not doing the best thing for a good relationship. So the idea here is that we will basically renounce the desire to acquire or retain the wealth of others. So that is the real non-stealing. That's the third practice that we can do to keep a good relationship with other beings, with other entities. And suppose I'm having a bad relationship with somebody, then I can analyze that relationship in the light of this third principle, non-stealing. My relationship with that individual, is it based on the idea that I want to get something? And sometimes I want to get it without even their permission. It means I'm coming to that other person with the idea that I will take some wealth, something from that person for me, for my own, let's say, selfish use. Now, if that is happening in my relationship with somebody else, eventually that relationship will turn sour. And if that relationship turns sour, it will also make a souring, let's say, to make my mind also sour, and my existence also sour, and I will not be able to maintain the mental balance necessary for meditation, necessary for leading a peaceful, happy life. So that's the point number 3. As you see in the definition here, to renounce the desire to acquire or retain the wealth of others. So it's not enough just not to do it. For example, I'm having yes, I want to get that, but then I control myself. Or because of fear, I don't do it. Or because of shyness, I don't do it. But the desire is there. So that's not enough. We have to remove the desire. And that's done through practice. Practice, practice, practice. So whenever the desire will come to my mind, I have to mentally go through a process to teach my mind not to think in that way. Okay, so that is non-stealing. And another thing is that these points or these practices help with keeping a mental balance, to be able to practice meditation. At the same time, if I am practicing meditation, it will also help to improve these practices. So one helps the other helps the one. Okay. All right. I think this is enough now for this number 3. It may be simple in explaining it like that, non-stealing, and most people will think, oh, I never steal. I'm how to say, I'm following these points, but sometimes this can be more subtle, this stealing, or this tendency to steal, or this idea that when I see something that other people have it comes in my mind, oh, it should be mine. It can be a position, like a job. I see somebody has a certain job and I wanted that job, so I do all my efforts so that I will be able to take that job and that person will be out and things like that. So it can happen in many ways, this tendency or this desire to acquire wealth of others. All right. Even in this let's say a system that we live, economic system where accumulation is getting more wealth is encouraged. Sometimes by me getting more, it's others are getting less. So it's a very subtle point to keep in mind. All right, so that was for number 3. I'm going to go ahead to number 4. Number 4, it means the 4th point to maintain a good relationship with others. It's a very important point. It's very subtle. It's maybe the most difficult to understand and to practice. I put the translation here as oneness. What do I mean by that? It's to feel one with others, to feel one with everything. And what does it mean? It is that idea that me and everyone else and everything else, we are all related. We are all an expression of a supreme truth or a supreme vibration. We are all like small vibrations in this universal vibration. So we are all related. Whatever is with me is with others, and we are all part of the same thing. If I feel that everyone is connected with me and that everything is connected with me, it will be easier to maintain let's say, a positive, constructive attitude towards everyone and towards everything. Let me give you an example. Now, in this society that we live, there are good people, there are criminals. Okay, but suppose there is a criminal. That person is also a human being. It may be a bad person, but it's not essentially bad. It's bad because if it has uh, taken a bad direction in life, it has allowed bad thoughts to come in the mind and dominate the mind. But mind is something very changeable and very fluid. If the mind gets a good input, gets a good company, good thoughts, it can become positive. If that same mind gets bad thoughts, negative thoughts, a bad input, it will become bad. So mind can change. So let's say that one being today, I may consider, oh, it's a bad person, but maybe tomorrow he or she can change. And if that person is, for example, in my family, my son, my cousin, my daughter, my husband, my wife, I will be more lenient. Oh, yes, my son, he did something very bad, but still my son, still I want to help him to become a better person. So in the same way, if we extend this to everyone and feel that everyone is part of us, everyone is in our family, everyone is close to me, then I will have a different attitude with all the people. And that will be much easier to have a good relationship with others. That will also help me to deal with things, animals, plants, because I will feel that these animals, these plants, these things are all part of me, so I must use it in the best way. I should not destroy an environment because that's part of me. It's like I'm destroying my own hand. So I have to preserve, protect, develop, improve everyone and everything. So I developed this idea that everything is kind of a cosmic expression, and I'm also part of this cosmic expression. So I should care for this cosmic expression, for the nature, for the people, for the things, for the animals. And this principle is in Sanskrit is called Brahmacharya. You know, Brahma is, let's say, the supreme being, the supreme entity, the cosmic being, the cosmic entity, the God, whatever term we use, that is Brahma. Charya means to be established in that idea. So what's the idea here? That everything is that cosmic entity. It's just different vibrations of the cosmic entity. So this is the idea of this principle, that feeling of oneness. Now, historically, I have to mention here a little bit about the history, because you may get this term and do a search on the web or read some books about brahmacharya, and you will come up with different historical interpretations and different interpretations of other people, other philosophers. And so historically, people have interpreted this brahmacharya in different ways. One way, which is common in India, is that brahmacharya means to abstain from sexual activity. And it means, therefore, to become a monk or like that. But it's not really the correct meaning. Because if we put this meaning, it means that if people who are living a family life, they will not be able to follow this principle. So that's not the idea. That's not the true meaning of the term, and that's not the true meaning of this practice. The true meaning is to maintain the mind connected, synchronized with Brahma, or that supreme cosmic flow. And regarding sexual activity, for the preservation of any species, including human, that's necessary, and that's a system created by, let's say, the creator of this universe. The universe is functioning in that way, so there is nothing wrong with it. It is just the way the cosmic flow is, and that's necessary, needed, and essential part of life. So the idea here is that brahmacharya is to connect one's mind with that cosmic mind and see everything as part of the cosmic flow. So that's the real brahmacharya. And it's not related to sexual activity, restraint in sexual activity like that. So, but you will find this interpretation very often. So I have to say something about, so that you are prepared and you understand it. Okay? So what is this principle here? Is to keep it always in your mind that everyone and everything is part of the same cosmic flow that you are part. So everything is related to you, everything is connected to you. So nothing is bad. Let's say that even a person which is a criminal like this is not, in essence, is not bad. It's just is doing some bad actions which can change, has some bad thoughts which can be changed. So if we start from that principle, we will not hate anybody, we will not think that anything is to be destroyed. Okay? It's everything to be given the right use. So if I come across a criminal, what will be the right thing to do is to make effort to change. So, but sometimes that is not an individual thing. It has to be a social system that can do that. All right, so now I have talked about this point number 4. So we have covered 4 points, 4 practices. Means we have to practice that. Like suppose I see something on my day-to-day life, or I'm going to relate it to somebody. So there is a second entity. There is me and there is second entity. So I have here different points that I can put in this my relationship. First, I already have in my mind that I'm here not to harm this person. Second is that everything I'm going to say will be truthful and should help give something to this other person. That was point number 2. Point number 3, I'm not here to get some wealth or something from this person. In the contrary, I might be here to give something. That was point number 3. And number 4, I feel that me and this person, we are intimately related because we are both part of the same cosmic entity, the same cosmic flow. So now I apply these 4 things into my relationship, and the idea is that this relationship should come up in a balanced way, should be in a harmonious, and should add something to my life and to this other entity's life. Okay, so now we reach point number 4. Let's go to number 5. If I want to get a good relationship with others, another important point is not to accumulate too much stuff, to live a simple life without superfluous things, without things that are not necessary. If I start accumulating too much, it means that essentially I will be taking something from others, either directly or indirectly. I will be busy with the thought of taking care of all this stuff that I have accumulated, and my mind will find no peace. So I want to have some peace of mind. If my mind is worried, busy with all this stuff, I will not have this peace of mind. So one idea here is that whatever I have or whatever I'm going to get, I should think first, do I really need that? Is it necessary for me? Why should I get that? Or why should I keep it? Okay, so if every time I'm applying this thought, eventually I will avoid accumulating too much stuff. Sometimes I've been reading some articles and or headlines saying about uncluttering, removing clutter from our life. And there are books written about it, systems for doing that. That's all positive. The underlying principle is this: not to accumulate too much, not to have superfluous things, not to keep our mind concentrated in all those things, so we cannot keep some balance in our mind. So the idea of non-accumulation is keep the mind free. Attain peace and not more stuff. So that's the fifth point. It sounds kind of simple, but when we come to apply it, there are difficulties. But difficulties are normal. We shouldn't be afraid of difficulties. We should just do the best, utilize the best of our capacity to overcome these difficulties, and we eventually overcome. So that was the number 5, non-accumulation. Live simply. Keep mind free. Aim for peace. Good. Okay, so this is basically what I wanted to present today. And now let's go to summary. Today we went over 3 points. Number 3, non-stealing. Number 4, seeing oneness in everything, everyone. 5, no accumulation. Live simply. So these 3 points added to the 2 that we have seen before, I came up with this figure. The figure that you see, it's a hand. So the hand has 5 fingers. And this practice of YAMA has 5 parts or 5 expressions. Now, to practice these points, I need an external entity. So now it's related to other people, to a second entity. So let's see these 5. So I put like number 1, ahimsa, non-harming. Don't want to harm anyone. Number 2, benevolent truthfulness. I will say the truth, but add benevolence to it, add welfare. So truth plus benevolence. I got benevolent truthfulness, and that is satya. Number 3, non-stealing, asteya. Not taking things from others without their permission. Number 4, seeing oneness, brahmacharya. Oneness with others, with everything. So every time think that everything is part of that same supreme one, supreme flow, supreme entity, brahmacharya. And number 5, aparigraha, live simply. I hadn't introduced the Sanskrit term, so it's aparigraha, to live simply. So just keep in mind there are these 5 points. So if you keep it in your hand that these 5 points are there, whenever you come in contact with another individual, another animal, another plant, another entity, you will keep in mind that if you apply these 5 principles, these 5 practices in your relationship, that relationship should develop in a balanced and harmonious way. And that's the goal here. The goal is to have a balanced relationship with all the external entities. If I do that, my mind gets more peaceful. I can meditate. I can live better. I can act in a better way in my day-to-day life. So that is the whole practice of YAMA. And we have now completed the first step, the first limb, the first part of the system of Astaunga Yoga, which is YAMA. And keep in mind that this YAMA is a practice. So make sure that you are practicing it in your daily life. It's not just some ideas that you think that, yes, I follow it, but you are not making it very conscious. Make a conscious effort to follow these 5 points. Whenever you see that your relationship with somebody is shaking and is disturbing your mind, your relationship with another entity is not good, is disturbing your mind, then you look at these 5 points and think, how, by applying these 5 points, I can improve my relationship. It can be with your close family, like husband, wife, children. It can be with your parents. It can be with your boss, with your teacher, with a colleague, somebody at your work. So anybody. There is some friction in your relationship, yes. Okay, now you analyze it in a systematic way. There are these 5 points here that I can apply to my relationship in order to improve it. And many times we think that the problem is with the other person, but I'm sure the other person will also think the problem is with us. So it will be some mutual thing. So I cannot push the other person to practice YAMA, but I can do myself, my own practice. And usually in life, things get reflected, means what you do gets reflected in your environment. What you think gets reflected in your environment. So if you think something, you may get it back. So now if you start thinking and acting according to YAMA, you will probably eventually get it back also. So don't expect immediately results. Results may take time, but this is the idea. This should be the result of the practice of YAMA. The minimum necessary to keep a good relationship with any other entity in our life, and the minimum necessary to maintain a certain balance in my existence, in my conscious level of my mind. All right, so I think this much I wanted to present today on the system of YAMA. And now I open for questions. So you can type your question on the window there, and I will take a look in a moment and I will reply these questions. Okay, any question that comes to your mind, you can type. It can be related to the previous class also. All right. Now, just to close, a quote from Albert Einstein. A quiet and modest life brings more joy than a pursuit of success bound with constant unrest. Okay, so let me look at your questions. The first question here is, what is the most important point of YAMA? It can be relative. Let's say that I presented this YAMA as the 5 fingers of our hand. So now let's say which one is the most important one. All are important. But okay, maybe you will say that maybe the thumb is more important because if I lose one of the other fingers, I still can hold with that one. But there will be some imbalance. And so the idea is to keep balance. So once one of the parts is not working, it means the whole system is a little bit out of balance. So the best is always you keep all the 5 in your mind. And if at all you cannot remember 5, you can remember only 1. Maybe remember this one of oneness, that everyone is like part of you. Everyone is a piece of you. Everything is a part and a piece of you. For example, if my body, I will not harm or do anything bad against my hand because I feel this is part of me. No, I will not cut my hand. If I cut it, I will bleed and eventually my whole body will die. So my whole self will be affected. So I feel everything is this is part of me. So I should take care of it. I clean it. I keep it nice. So in the same way, if I extend this feeling to everything and everyone, I feel that everyone and everything is part of me. So I will always think to do good. I will always think to be beneficial, to take care of everything and everyone. So if you can, let's say, you can remember the 5 points, you can apply there, those, great. Now you have very bad memory, you cannot remember 5 things, so better remember only 1. So remember that one. Everybody, everyone, everything is part of you. So treat everyone, treat everything as if it's your own body, your part of yourself. Okay, so then that will eventually bring a good relationship with other people. Like, suppose your hand gets dirty, you don't think about cutting it and throwing it. So in the same way, in the society, maybe one individual got dirty, became a criminal or whatever. So you shouldn't think just to eliminate it, destroy it, get rid of it. No. What do you think? My hand got dirty, I should wash it, I should clean it, find some solution to resolve the problem. So in the same way, if you deal with everything and everyone, it will make a big difference. So let's say there is no most important point, but if you can remember only one thing, remember that one. All right. Okay, so there is another question which is on the same line, asking what's the most important point in Astaunga Yoga. In the same way, I want to say that this point of YAMA is very important, and sometimes we just keep it as a principle in our closet. We have a list, okay, this is YAMA, but in fact, these are points to be practiced every day. And if you start doing them consciously, you will see some change. Like, you go to meet somebody or you go to a bank, okay, you are just going to deposit a check or to take out some money. But when you talk to that bank teller, you start from the idea that whatever you say should be something that brings some benefit to that person. So just by having that thought, you may be of benefit to that person. So everything starts in the mind, the intention to be practicing these points will also bring it into reality. All right, so I don't see any further questions at this moment, so I'm going to close the presentation. I would like to thank you, everyone who attended it live, and also everyone who will be watching the video later on. And just a reminder, it's something practical. Yoga is practice. It only has value if you do something, do an action. So put YAMA into practice in your daily life. And thank you for being here in this webinar. You will surely get the recording. I have also recording of other classes on other subjects, either on my YouTube channel, on Facebook, on various other channels. And I publish from time to time, and I hope you can share also with friends and family so we can spread these ideas. Namaskar.